Hello! In this video I'm going to talk about what I have learned so far making tongue drums and teach you how to design your own so it will actually sound good. I will also show you how I made this awesome 12-tongue drum. For this build, I again started by planing down some padauk. Honestly, unless you have experience dimensioning lumber, I would just start with 3/4 inch S4S lumber and save yourself a lot of time. You need to get the boards perfectly flat or you can run into some issues. I'll explain some of these issues later. The next essential thing to do is plan the tuning for your drum. If you have not watched my previous video about the length calculator, go watch that now. However, before you can use the length calculator, you need to learn a little bit about music theory. The way you orient the notes on the drum will dramatically affect the playability and musicality of the instrument. So take your time and make a solid plan. Think about the chords you want to include and the key or mode you want your drum to be tuned to. I will include more information about this on my blog. If you really don't want to use music theory, I will also share some tuning suggestions, so be sure to check out the description below. After you have chosen your tuning and arranged your tongues, it is time to lay out a pattern. My suggestion is to draw rectangles at the length given by the length calculator, then shorten and thicken the ends of your longest tongue so that they will take up less space. I also recommend shortening your tongues a little more than you think, as it is easier and better to tune each tongue down to your desired frequency. Ideally, you don't want to raise the pitch of any of the tongues if it can be avoided. I decided to make a second plan on easel and use my CNC to cut my tongues. However, this is just as easy to do with the jigsaw. Gluing the end pieces on is a vital step in the construction process. This is a big reason you need your top piece to be perfectly flat. Unfortunately, on this drum, I was careless and there was some snipe from the planer. This led to an inconsistent glue up and caused some major problems tuning this drum. Again, you can avoid this by using S4S lumber. As for the tuning process, check out my other videos. Just be careful, as smaller tongues are much more sensitive when tuning, so go slow and check your frequency often. As you can see, I ran into some tuning problems, so I did some experimenting on my old drums to see if you can change the tuning after the glue up. One way to do it is to remove material from the top side of the drum. This looks bad, but the sound improvement might be worth it. You can also drill holes in the bottom to access the underside of your tongues, or use a jigsaw to remove material from the tips of your tongues. Unfortunately, I had made too many mistakes already and could not get rid of the buzz. However, I did build a smaller drum that sounded great and inspired me to try again. I still had snipe from the planing process, but I routed out each end of the board to ensure I had a flat gluing surface for my end pieces. After gluing on the end pieces and the sides, I checked the tuning to see how it compared to my plan. There were only 3 notes that needed to be raised, so I took my jigsaw and shortened those tongues to bring the pitch up. This time I decided to tune mainly with a chisel. I'm not sure if this made a difference, but the results were great. The drum really sounds amazing, and the tuning allows me to play thousands of popular songs. Hopefully you're listening with headphones because my recording skills do not do this justice. This time I decided just to screw on the bottom, and I found it didn't make much difference between the glue, and this way I'll be able to adjust the tuning if I need to. Thanks for watching. I will continue to build tongue drums, so make sure you check in so you can see how they turn out. I will be starting a second channel dedicated to wooden instruments, and will post some recordings of all my drums there, so check that out also. If you haven't done so already, click subscribe and you won't miss out on any future builds.